Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to look at how the US E-minis unfolded yesterday, which was Tuesday the 9th of December. The first trade setup I'd like to look at is an advanced trade setup on the ES, and this is this DP buy here that unfolded right at the low of the day. You see a great trade setup. Why did I particularly like this trade setup? Well, not only was it a DP trade setup, it was also a VSA setup. Now remember, these are where we actually gauge what the volume in the market is doing to go with the professional buying or selling. So there are other videos on the VSA setup in the MTPredictor website, but you can see that this bar here that I'm hovering over, which is the 1033 bar, had our VSA indication on our VSA volume indicator down here, indicating that this was higher than usual volume. That made a new low. This is what I like about the VSA setup, when it goes beyond a significant high or low. Now remember, we put the DP on off that pivot to then gauge whether there's going to be support. The next bar, which there was, you can see we got a blue buy bar at 1036. This also gave us our automatic DP buy setup as well. So that's the reason that the more experienced users among you would look to consider this. Was not only was it a DP standard trade setup, but it's also VSA trade setup. Remember, we're going against the STF color for this, but the volume overrides that. Let's place the analysis on. If you just traded this trade setup as you had, the first target, or the profit at the first target, would have been 5R, and because the STF was strong, you would have probably trailed it up here into this particular high using the ATR stop for a 7R profit, which would have been very good. However, we did have the problem of a standard TS3 sell setup coming in here. Now some of you may have wanted to take this, and if you had, you'd have probably stopped and reversed your long trade, banking a profit of 3.4R, which would have been very nice. If you had then taken this particular trade setup, you'd have either gone past the 100% initial risk level and come out break even, or let's assume a worst case scenario and you've been stopped out for -1R loss. Remember, losses are kept small using our correct position sizing, so even if you'd lost -1R here, the profit on the previous trade at plus 3.4R would be more made up of that and made a profit overall. So that's the great thing about position sizing. After this was all done, there was another standard trade setup a bit later in the day. This would have been easier as it's with the STF. Remember, we suggest setting your profit target one tick just beyond, or sorry, just short of the targets, which mean you'd have been coming out at pretty much the high of the day here for another 3.4R profit. So overall, it would have been a very good day on the ES, taking the trade setups, both standard trade setups, and in particular this DP buy here, which was a VSA setup. And what a great place to be buying the market right at the low of the day. As you can see that one down there, great trade setup. But for me, this wasn't the best market, even though we had some good profits here. The best market for me was the YM, and I'll show you what I was doing on this. Now on the YM, we had a standard TS3 sell setup, then a TS4 buy setup, which was against the red STF. However, why I liked this was because of the larger degree higher time frame support. So let's go out to the higher time frame, which is the 15-minute. Let's go back to the last significant pivot low, which was here. We place the DP on from there. Remember, this is a leading indicator. Whoops, missed it. So this is on the chart in advance. So before yesterday even opened, this DP support would have been on your chart. Now look what it did. The market came down, found support at this higher time frame DP support, and that nailed the very low of the day for you. You can see the market rallied beautifully off that. So let's see what difference that would have made for our shorter term charts. Well, because this was larger degree support, you would not have been looking to take this TS3 sell, because advanced traders would know the large degree trend was then turned to be up. Therefore, you'd have considered this TS4 buy setup. So let's place the analysis on this. At the first target, a nice 2.2R profit. But this was a special trade setup because this was after the initial move off the important low. Remember, we defined as an important low as larger degree support, in other words, support at a higher time frame. So the low of the day here came in at 15-minute DP support, therefore was gauged an important low. The initial move off that would be wave 1. The initial correction would be then wave 2. We're then anticipating a wave 3 kind of swing, and this is what we call our holy grail trade target. So how do we then adjust the profit target on this TS4 buy setup here to then take account of the Holy Grail trade? Well, we go up to our tools at the top here. We look for our up wave 3 WPT. You can see we now need 3 mouse clicks. Our tooltip down here helps as well. First click on the start of wave 1, which should be here. Second click would be the start of wave 2. Sorry, the end of wave 1 would be here. Third click, the end of wave 2, which should be on this low. It then projects up our typical wave 3 WPT. Again, remember this would be on the chart in advance. It's a leading indicator. So we'd have taken our risk reward, we'd have grabbed and dragged it up to here, and this would be the target that we'd have been aiming for on this particular trade setup. And as you can see, it would have resulted in a very nice 6R profit. So so the markets yesterday actually encompassed 2 of my favourite trade setups with MTPredictor. First and foremost, our Holy Grail trade setup, where we're looking to trade off the end of a wave 2 to then take advantage of the strong wave 3 swing, and as you can see, that's what we got on the YM. The second trade setup that I like personally myself is the VSA setup, which is what we had as of the low of the day on the ES. Remember, I went through this at the beginning of the video. So yesterday we had both of my favourite MTPredictor trade setups. So hopefully this has been a good video today to show you what MTPredictor can do, particularly when you become more experienced with the software and view it with an experienced eye, particularly when you look at the volume and particularly when you look at the higher time frame support and resistance. And this is why we don't encourage you to trade every automatic trade setup. Once you become more experienced, we then teach you how to choose which ones to take and also how to interpret the market a bit more in a bit more depth, looking at the volume. So a great day for MTPredictor yesterday, where we had a trade off the very bar of the low of the day on the ES with our VSA setup, and then we came into a lovely Holy Grail trade setup on the YM, which actually returned a lovely profit. This is why I like the Holy Grail trades in particular, because we are trading a strong wave 3. Wave 3s are the strongest and longest move in a completed 5-wave sequence, therefore represents the highest potential profit in relation to the initial risk. You can see here the profit of approximately 6 times greater than the initial risk was a very good trade indeed. So overall, a very good trading day for MTPredictor yesterday on the US E-minis.